All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Facility and Property Management Secrets Radio. I'm your host, Javier Lozano Jr. with CMI Mechanical. I've got an awesome opportunity here with the co-founder of EcoTrak. His name is Erich Munzner. Did I say it correctly?
You did, yeah, Munzner, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
In sandwich on the Z, yeah.
And so Erich's the co-founder of EcoTrak. I've kind of had an opportunity to talk to him a few months ago when I first started working at CMI Mechanical and kind of learn a little more about his company, EcoTrak, what they offer, that sort of stuff. I'm not going to take away from his thunder because this is his opportunity to kind of share a little bit more about it. But what really kind of triggered me as saying, we should probably interview him is the fact that he seems like a pretty fun guy on Twitter. And he was celebrating Taco Tuesday, and every day is Taco Tuesday in his place. And I love tacos. You like tacos. That's a great way to kind of hit it off. And,
and I'm in the taco mecca in Southern California.
Exactly. So I can't complain about that. So Erich, so welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it as well, Javier.
Yeah, this is great. So, so I guess, how I typically like to start off my interviews is just kind of tell me a little bit more about yourself. I know that you, just kind of looking at your LinkedIn profile, that you served in the U.S. Air Forces. And so am I correct, right?
Yeah. So, I did 8 years in the Air Force, 4 active, 4 reserve, veteran, Desert Storm, Shield, and Southern Watch. So I did 3 tours over in Saudi.
Wow. So first of all, thank you for your service. Your sacrifice has been greatly appreciated from at least my end and other people out there. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So the next thing is that, I know when we talked previously, you'd mentioned that you have an HVAC company and you kind of started off doing that sort of stuff. So tell me a little bit more about like your HVAC background, if you will, and then how this EcoTrak kind of evolved, and tell me a little bit more about EcoTrak so we can start kind of talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in the HVAC refrigeration world, servicing nothing but restaurants. So restaurants was really kind of the core of, first off, the equipment that I understood, the equipment that we were doing service for. Started the company with 1 van out of a driveway, slowly moved up to close to 20 trucks rolling.
Okay.
But during that whole process, you're dealing with facilities managers, obviously, and we're dealing with national chain restaurants. And you're consistently getting feedback on the needs, wants, desires, the gaps, all of the different issues that FMs are facing on a daily basis.
Yep.
And as a provider, as you know, it's not just about fixing stuff. It's really about the customer experience and what level of service you're providing. Because There's really only one way to fix this thing. And there's a million guys on the planet that can do it. You want to make sure that there's a reason why they keep calling you back. But there is. And then after that, you become this trusted partner. And then those FMs are really looking for information, insight, direction from you. And I really wanted to find a way to make that information transparent for both parties, not only the internal team, but also for the FMs and the operations team. That's the biggest piece, those operations teams. Yeah. They're the revenue generators in our business, right?
Yep.
And so a lot of those decisions we make needs to really be generated towards those people on the ground, boots on the ground, that are actually making money for the organization. So as far as EcoTrak and the asset management piece started, when I had the service company, I was just affixing QR codes to pieces of equipment. This is 9-10 years ago.
Okay.
I think some people still think that's a new technology. It's a pretty old technology.
QR codes are kind of a little outdated, which I find funny, and people keep using them. But it's back 10 years ago. It was like a big deal.
It was huge. And so, I am by no means a guy who knows how to write code at all. I can barely post on Twitter, so thanks for putting me out there. But it's really, if I can talk about tacos,
I'll ask for your handle later so people can follow you.
Yeah, exactly. But so we wrote a real simple website. Hey, click on the QR code. Tell us what your problem is. We'll walk through basic troubleshooting. The UX was atrocious, but it worked. And so it started gaining steam. And then after a while, clients are going, well, hey, this is really neat for what you do in your region. What about the rest of my stuff? And what about the rest of the country? That was kind of the catalyst for us to go, okay, hey, there's a gap in the technology that's being afforded to some of these particular organizations. Let's see if we can come up with something better. Yeah. There's a lot of legacy platforms that are out there. We were fortunate enough to be afforded the opportunity to have a much more advanced ability to, as far as software goes, programming and databases and things of that nature. So we were able to kind of jump in pretty quickly and gain some brand recognition just based on where we're at in the technology world itself.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where EcoTrak kind of involved, is that you saw there was a need for this industry, and
100%.
You basically wanted to provide a solution because, let's face it, people in the HVAC industry, we see a lot more stuff than probably other vendors or trades, if you will.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're too hot or you're too cold, you're going to lose customers, you're going to lose revenue, people are going to be ticked off. And we're probably the most expensive thing to fix as well, too. So you kind of have a taste and have a pulse to your customer base, and you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, HVAC. I mean, if you look at the 5 big categories of spend for, if I just go to restaurants, it's what I know.
Yeah.
Our platform, obviously, and I'll kind of get into that later. Our platform can definitely go to the vertical of retail or anybody, honestly.
Yep.
But it's HVAC, refrigeration, cooking equipment, plumbing, and electrical.
Yep.
That's probably 70 to 75% of their R&M spend. And what we do, the mechanical stuff, or what I used to previously do, it's very equipment based.
Yeah.
It has to do with the make, model, serial number, age of the equipment. What did I buy it for? How much have I spent on it?
Yep.
My repair versus replace scenarios. All of those different issues that I've just felt in the past, it was kind of subjective and anecdotal, right? We weren't really getting the objective economic data to make that decision.
Yep.
And so that's what we wanted to provide. So we kind of just flipped the script on work order management systems and said, hey, when I take my car into the dealer, they run my VIN number, right? Do I have any recalls? What have I done to it? What's happened? Why don't we start with the piece of equipment? A manager should be able to go, it's that thing, that's broken. What's been going on with it? I need service.
Yeah.
Other than all these multiple drop downs. So that's how we designed it. It's like, hey, the manager's going to go, hey, it's broken. What's going on?
Yeah.
And so we can dig right in. And we made sure that that's transparent to the technicians as well. So when your guys show up, they know the make, model, serial number of the AC. They know what parts have been replaced.
Yep.
They know whether or not it's under warranty. So it's kind of a win-win, I see, because that full transparency makes things go much, much smoother.
No, I totally agree. And that's amazing. So, it kind of leads me to the next thing is, like, as far as, when EcoTrak started, when did you guys start, and when did you start seeing kind of traction kind of taken off, where you kind of start seeing like, okay, we're onto something?
So we started doing the original dev probably like 6 years ago. Okay. The thing is with us is we wanted to really be smart about how we launched. We knew there was legacy systems that were out there. We knew we knew that the competitive market was going to get even larger. There's going to be a larger swath. There's going to be more entrants into the market. So we wanted to make sure when we did finally go live, we had an MVP, most viable product, but understanding that we designed it in a way where we can evolve quickly and be nimble. And so, and the other thing was, we wanted to make sure, I always run this adage is I don't want to be a little bit of something to everyone. I want to be everything to someone. And so I really went after a particular market. And because we're asset management, if you look at a restaurant, there's a ton of equipment in there that they got to have to turn a dollar.
Yep.
Right? So I felt, man, if I can prove myself in that market, I could pretty much tackle anything. So I actually did a FM summit. I pulled in a bunch of facility managers that I knew. I was asking them, hey, what are your pain points? What are this? That was grueling because just listening to the challenges that they're going through and the evolution of the facility management profession in itself. Yeah. It's not really guys on the ground who know how to fix stuff anymore. They need business managers. They need analytic people. They need people that can run a budget. And so we had to consider all of those things. And I would say probably the last 2 years or so, I mean, it feels like a long road, but it really hasn't. The last 2 years is when we really started gaining traction.
Gotcha.
And really what it was is I needed to get people in front of the product, which is the hardest thing to do, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey, will you look at my software? They're like, I don't even have time to hang out with my friends. What makes me think I want to hang out with you and talk about your software? You know what I mean? So 2 years is when we really started building, and now we're just growing exponentially. I mean, close to 10,000 locations on the system, thousands and thousands of contractors. So it's been a fun ride.
That's awesome. And so, let me ask you this and I'm kind of going to jump around on this, is that you held that summit to kind of get to learn more about what the FMs, what their problems were and that sort of stuff. And you were kind of like, oh my God, what were some of the biggest challenges that these facility managers were facing?
Being able to justify the decisions they make. Okay. So you got to look at facilities in general as a cost center.
Okay.
A CFO, accounting, anybody else are going to go like, all you guys do is spend money.
Yeah.
So how do I help them become a cost avoidance center?
Yep.
That's by allowing them to justify the particular spend that they're doing to show a long-term ROI, or at least give them the ammunition to go, hey, this is why I need to do this. So whether it be from CapEx replacements, planning for those things, to why did I decide to repair this thing instead of just buy a new one?
Yep.
Those are some really big challenges they're facing because most of the information they receive is subjective, anecdotal. They're calling guys like us. We can send 3 different techs out. They're going to give us 3 different assessments. So yeah, one guy goes, it seems fine. The other guy goes, man, this thing's a hunk of junk. We got to trash it. So we wanted to really go, hey, what I found is they just did not have that objective information, objective data to say, this is the reason why I made this decision and this is where I'm going. Yeah. So in general, I can get into the details of some of the other things, but really the system, what we're trying to do is go, hey, all the data is right here. We're going to teach you how to analyze it. We're going to make it simple to analyze so you can just go, here, CFO, this is why I did this.
So have you always been this kind of person where you're very data driven, where you make decisions off of that? Because I used to run a company for 10 years where I sold it, and it was a martial arts and personal training studio. Mm-hmm. And I made all of my business decisions based off of numbers. So, if I ran ads, I would see what my return on investment was, not necessarily in like signups immediately. I'm talking about like, did the person sign a contract? So I would see like, all right, I spent $500, but I got 3 contracts signed and they're worth $5,000. I think I made some good money.
Right.
So have you always been kind of analytical in that way, with your background?
Absolutely not.
So what made you shift and say, we need data now?
Probably me just getting older.
Okay.
I'm more of a creative. Like I was a touring musician for 5 years. I was signed to 2 different record labels. I play guitar, sing. I did all that stuff. I was more of a creative type. It was just like, let's do it and see what happens,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But then as I got into the industry, I started realizing the value of data. And I think the ease of obtaining data is what said, okay, hey, I can get this stuff now. So maybe I should start using it. Yeah. And then once I started my own company, I realized the value in numbers. But hold on a second. Let me turn this off. Oh, there we go. I started getting a call to my desk here. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
But no, not even close, man. I didn't care about it. I could barely manage my own checkbook when I was a kid.
That's funny.
I didn't care.
and it's funny you say that because I was the same way when I first started. I never made decisions based off of data, but when you don't know your numbers, you don't know how to make a decision that's wise.
Yeah.
And I think, and you probably can agree with this today, I think data is the most valuable asset today.
Absolutely.
And you can sell data because people pay for it. Anything from like contacts to information about your HVAC assets to, like whatever you can gather, whatever you can track, that is sellable. But you have to be able to track it, see, how you're spending money on it, what can you leverage from it, all this other stuff. And it's amazing that you shifted, not just you as a person, but also you made your business almost kind of take that same shift. Am I correct?
It's what we actually say we are. We don't say that we're a data company.
Yeah.
Now, there may be some people out there like the manufacturers that don't like the data that I'm capturing, or maybe they will because I'm capturing every single part that gets replaced within a region, by manufacturer, by model, by vintage, the whole 9 yards. That's what we really consider ourselves to be. Huh?
They should be paying you.
You would hope. And I think once I accumulate enough, possibly they will,
Right.
But yeah, we consider ourselves a data company, 100%. And you're exactly right. It is there's still that gut piece. And the one thing I always want to make sure of though, is just because something can be measured doesn't mean it's important or useful.
Yeah.
So I try to remove vanity metrics, which I'm hopefully some people understand what vanity metrics are. It's almost a confirmation bias thing, right? I believe something, therefore I'm going to mine the data to just uphold my belief. Yep. I want to be challenged by data.
Yep.
So I want to go in with an open mind and say, okay, this is the belief I hold. However, if the data is borne out a completely different scenario, I'm open to go ahead and changing that belief.
Gotcha.
And I think I don't want to say it was a people thing when people go with vanity metrics or confirmation bias. I just don't think they had access to the correct data. And we were at times measuring the wrong things. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So I feel that we're helping our clients really measure the things that are important. What makes sense on a day-to-day when you're running a business.
So then tell me more about that. So EcoTrak basically focuses on capturing data. I mean, before
Mhm.
we started on this conversation, you basically said that you guys are a work order system, and I didn't see you guys as that, and that's my fault.
No, that's okay. We don't call ourselves that either.
And so, but so tell me, walk me through a new customer. So they sign up, and then kind of walk me through that path.
Oh yeah. So
And
the one thing we don't do, we don't manage vendors by any means.
Okay.
We don't charge vendors to be a part of the system. We don't take a piece of their hard-earned invoice dollars. We don't do any of those things.
Okay.
So the client gets on board. They love the product. They tell me, Eric, you're amazing. I love this. Take all my money. And so then the first thing we do is we want to go ahead and get a list of all their locations, get a list of all their preferred vendors, and start getting invitations out and start training. So we do live training for the vendors. We have 6 classes per week that you can schedule, how to set up your profile to how to use the mobile application.
Yep.
And then it's based on the client's need, but for the most part, I would say 95% of our clients, then we go in and we start cataloging all of the equipment in the building. Wow. So via the mobile application. So I have third-party contractors all over the country that'll do that for us. Some people do it internally. Others will utilize their existing vendor base to do it as well. We'll just kind of train them on how to do it. So the first thing is, hey, I got to figure out what I own, what is it, and what it's worth. That's what I always tell people. If all the cash dries up tomorrow, you need to know what you own and what it's worth.
Yeah.
That's the importance of cataloging. So we go in and catalog everything. Then then it's kind of similar to probably other platforms, right? We start getting the users on board. We start doing the training. We'll launch region by region. And then we got every single vendor on base. And now the entire interface for placing any type of service request when it comes to R&M for the location runs right through the mobile application or our browser app.
Yeah.
96 or 97% now of our service requests come via the mobile app. Operators just love it. They can just pick up the phone, find their piece of equipment, place a service request. We actually walk them through some really basic troubleshooting prior to it.
Yep.
Our troubleshooting right now it's probably mitigating about 2% of service requests. So we have one client that'll do over 100,000 work orders a year. If I can stop 2,000 work orders from going through just by troubleshooting, that's a lot of money with an average invoice of say $380.
Wow.
But that's really the whole client process. So it's about a 90-day implementation, but we took one publicly traded company that has 320 locations, got them cataloged, trained, up and running in 51 days.
So when you say cataloged, that means like you're basically putting QR stickers on different.
No. So I don't do the QR code thing, and I'll tell you why, because I learned from it. It's a pain. It's a pain in the ass to manage.
Really?
The first thing you have to have is I need an SOP. Where do I put the sticker? On every piece of equipment, so everybody knows where to find it, right?
Yeah.
Next thing is those things are expensive, and let's call it a restaurant kitchen. We want these stickers to uphold in a very hostile environment of heat, grease, everything that you can possibly think of, steam, moisture, whatever. Those stickers have to hold up.
Yeah.
Now, somebody can put a sticker over. You can have a vendor come in and go, oh, hey, who is this? They put a sticker over it. Or maybe they don't see the initial sticker, so somebody puts another sticker on it.
Yep.
Now I got to replace that piece of equipment. Now what? I need a new sticker. I got to reprogram the QR code. I got to do all of those things.
Wow.
So what we do is take an actual photo of the unit itself, and then we take a photo of the data plate, and that lives there forever. And now if we have multiple pieces of equipment, like say you have a whole bank of fryers, for instance, We'll put big phenolic numbers on there, and then we have what we call naming conventions. So that's a big piece when it comes to cataloging. Getting these people to call the equipment the same thing every single time, right?
Gotcha.
Is it RTU1? Is it AC1? Is it dining AC? Is it whatever it is?
Yeah.
People are going to call it something different. So we go, hey, guys, let's come up with a tribal language. We all call this the same thing.
Yep.
And then we catalog.
That makes complete sense.
It totally does. And having the photo, so the manager just going, yeah, it's that thing.
Yep.
And then having the data plate, because it's always there, as you know, you could you go up on an air conditioner, the data plate's completely worn out. Somebody maybe wrote the model serial number on it with a Sharpie or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So if I have that piece there, I can do it. And now when I have all that cataloging piece, now I can capture warranties. And we capture warranty on 3 levels. Not only that manufacturer,
okay,
but like your warranty when it comes to your service level agreement. I honor this much on my workmanship and the components I sell you.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we capture each individual component, because let's take an AC, for instance, which you're familiar with. Heat exchanger may have 10 years. Compressor has 5 years. A unit only has 1 year. We capture all that information. So you as a provider, and the customer knows exactly whether or not this thing's under any type of manufacturer warranty, whether or not the service provider has done this work before, or if any of these components that are looking to replace are under warranty.
Okay.
And like I tell the clients, I go, it's not a matter of a provider trying to get over. I've been in those shoes. I'm asking a dispatcher, a human being, to maybe go through hundreds of electronic work orders over a 3-year period to find out if we've done that work. And when we ask human beings to do things, sometimes they don't do it.
Right? Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So, right. So I mean, I've been the guy, you know what I mean? And that was the other thing with manufacturer warranties. I tell people, I go, I've never called up a manufacturer and they go, hey, it's your lucky day, I'm going to ship you a bunch of free parts. You have to ask, is this thing under warranty?
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense, because that's something that, I know our company, we used to actually do quite a bit of warranty work, and eventually we kind of started phasing ourselves out of it because manufacturers wouldn't abide by some of the stuff. But if we had it all documented, be like, hey, this was installed on this day, it is now this day, it's still under warranty, therefore you must pay us for this. It just takes all the ambiguity out of the whole thing, You're
exactly right. And that's what we're trying to capture. So we'll look at purchase date, installation date, and startup date.
Yep.
Manufacturers, they all started differently. Maybe it's 6 months from ship date. Maybe it's install date. Maybe it's startup date.
Yeah.
We have all those algorithms built in. And so we help the client with the verification and validation of all those assets as well.
That's awesome. I love that. And so, so when all this stuff is cataloged, captured, and now you have this mobile app where essentially you take your phone and kind of, I know I can't see it, but kind of walk me through the mobile app and why that's beneficial for a facility manager at a restaurant.
Oh, okay. So let's just talk with the general manager. So the general manager, maybe they're doing a line check, and it could be a retail manager as well. They're walking through, they're opening the store, they realize, hey, it's warm in this particular area. Yep. Well, as long as we know what AC services that area and we cataloged it correctly, they can go, hey, it's warm here. They actually have a button where they can hit near me, and we geotag that area that AC serves.
You're kidding.
Yeah, we capture the GPS coordinates.
That's great.
And so they go, hey, man, so they hit near me and it pulls up that AC unit. And then they can see. So the first thing we're going to let them know is, hey, do we have any outstanding items? Has a work order already been placed? Are there parts on order? Is there a proposal out that needs to be approved? They can see that all right on the mobile phone. And they're going, oh, wow, maybe Javier needs to approve this, or Javier did send this quote. I got to make sure we get it approved.
Yeah.
If not, it goes right to the service request screen. It's pre-populated with all your different problem types. So just tell us what the problem is. And the really cool thing is, based on the problem you're having, then it's going to associate it to the most appropriate vendor. So if I take something like a booth, I have a millwork guy, I have upholstery, and then I have somebody who just cleans it.
Yep.
So if I need millwork and they say millwork problem, millwork vendor. Upholstery issue is torn, upholstery vendor. If they say it needs to be cleaned, it calls up the janitorial company.
Nope.
So we built that logic in because we realized just because it's this asset doesn't mean it's the same guy who handles every issue.
For sure.
Or gal, I should say, guy or gal.
Okay.
And so once they select that problem, then it associates it to the appropriate vendor. If the customer has utilized their troubleshooting piece, it will walk them through some really basic troubleshooting. So let's say it's the AC. Okay, did you check the thermostat? Is the breaker on? We'll walk them through really basic things. And with the troubleshooting, I love it. It's so awesome because you can do video, images, or text, or you can even copy and paste the URL of a YouTube video, embed it into your troubleshooting piece. You can watch the YouTube video right in the app. It doesn't take you to the YouTube app or anything. And you walk through it, and then you just let us know, yes or no, did that troubleshooting work? If it worked, we track it. And we go, boom, let's move that to the top of the list because it seems to be working a lot for us.
Dude, I love what you're doing here. You're leveraging already accessible technology that we can go look for, but you're putting it on a centralized platform, on a centralized plate. So it's making it easy. And not just that, you're empowering people to fix the thing themselves before they call us.
They love it. They love being able to do that. And it's that sense of ownership. And I've even had, vendors go, well, you're taking business away. And I go, look, man, if you had this quality customer that does a lot of money with you every year and you show up, are you really going to charge them $200 to flip the breaker on? Now, if you're doing it 10 times a month, yes.
Yeah.
But you built this relationship with this guy and go, hey, I just flipped the breaker on. Everything seems to be good. I'm going to go ahead and bounce. So the troubleshooting, giving those operations teams some ownership. And then what it does is it allows them to understand a little bit more about your industry.
Yeah. Oh,
They understand how complicated it is to do what you do.
yep.
Because now they have some insight.
They have a higher respect for HVAC technicians because half the time people are like, well, I don't even know what you do on the roof. Well,
Right.
I don't like, I'm not a technician myself, but I know what they do is very valuable, and I don't get half the things that they do, but it starts making either the general manager of the store or the facility manager have a higher appreciation, say, you guys actually work your asses off to fix these things and figure this stuff out. And it's not just just flip this in or just change the filter or something like that. Like there's more to it. Like you have to troubleshoot a lot of stuff before we make an assessment on what needs to be fixed.
Exactly. And as you know, if it was just flipping the breaker, that tech's still going to go up. He's going to run through a sequence of operation, make sure it's not a compressor failing or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, whenever you just find the breaker wasn't tripped, it was just turned off. You give that invoice for $250. Nobody wants that. The operators just getting grilled.
Yep.
Facilities managers going, And the other thing that troubleshooting does is it mitigates those phone calls to the FMs. So the FMs get those phone calls a lot of times, and they'll walk them through troubleshooting on the phone. Like they don't get enough phone calls and emails as it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So if we can give them, and I'm not going to walk this operator through 22 different steps and have them up there putting gauges on a unit or something.
Yeah.
But we want some really basic things. And man, they take so much ownership in that. They're really proud of themselves. I know when I was a tech starting out, when I actually fixed something, I was calling everybody. Hey man, I figured it out. I got it fixed. Operators like that too, because it's a mystery, man. It really is. HVAC and refrigeration to a lot of folks is a mystery.
I would agree.
And cooking equipment and all of those different things.
Yep.
So being able to feel like they contributed a little bit to the bottom line of the company and solve something themselves, it feels good.
Yeah. Well, not just that. It goes back to what you started all this off with. Like whenever you have like a CFO that only looks at numbers, you're saving money that's not even accounted for. So like you could literally, if you wanted to, have like a little scratch sheet of paper of how many things you troubleshooted, what you saved, and then give that to your FM or somebody. Be like, I saved our company $10,000 this year.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
That is so valuable.
And not only that, I mean, looking at failures. So if I can track failures, so CFOs love a nice flat line when it comes to cost. If they can predict it, they love it. It doesn't necessarily have to, of course, they're looking at amounts, but if they know it's going to be spent, they're okay with it.
Cool.
But when you're actually, what you own and you have trends of the things that break every single year, it's not just in your head anymore.
Yep. It's
not, when that guy wins the lot, I never say hit by a bus, by the way. When this guy wins the lottery, it takes all of that information with him.
Yeah.
Then what? It's gone. Well, we have it all now in a system. And so that's another thing that CFOs, I think, really enjoy.
That's awesome.